Welcome to the Mobilized Leaders Podcast with me, James Chavez. I coach people to be confident and competent leaders. So let's jump into today's episode. Well, thanks for joining me for another episode of the Mobilized Leaders Podcast. I'm James, and I hope you've been getting something out of these podcasts as we've been diving a little deeper into tools that are going to make us better, stronger leaders. Today, I want to talk about a topic that I know is going to hit close to home, and we've all experienced it. How to deal with a difficult leader. Have you ever had one? I'm going to guess yes. Again, I'm going to go out on a limb. This is not a very scientific poll, but I guarantee 100% of you have had a difficult leader at some point in your career, whether it's in the for-profit world, Wall Street, nonprofit, church world, it doesn't matter where. There is a difficult leader that you've crossed paths with. Maybe they just have unrealistic expectations. Maybe it feels like they don't value your contribution. Maybe it just seems like they have a bad attitude. Maybe they just seem so demanding and you just can't stand them. It's just a personality conflict. Whatever the reason, I would recommend that there's a couple of things we can do. First is you just stop and understand, what can we learn about the difficult leader? Who are they? At the end of the day, they're a human being just like you. Same things kind of make them tick. What is at the root cause of what makes them so difficult? Maybe there's something going on in their personal life. Maybe there's something that you can be a solution for that is causing them to be a difficult leader. Difficult leaders are rough, but if you empathize, if you try and walk a mile in their shoes, so to speak, maybe figure out a reason why you have this conflict and why it seems like they're so difficult. One of the things that I would say stands out, and I would put it in neon if I could, and I tell people all the time when they'll listen, is you have to value what your leader values. And one of the things that we've got to look at is we may think that we're doing a fantastic job, a 10 out of 10, A+++. But at the end of the day, if you are putting effort and energy into things that your leader does not value, that's not a win. And so for them, they may be dissatisfied with your efforts and your performance, and you think you're doing a great job. Maybe you're just not communicating and you're on two completely different pages. That is one of the most common reasons that I see people say that they have a difficult leader. And at the end of the day, it's just because that leader says you're not meeting your expectation. You think you're doing a great job, but it's because you're putting energy in an area that doesn't align with your leader's expectations and values. So what that means is you have to pause, take time to figure out what your leader values, what's important to them. Yes, every organization has a mission statement, right? Some value statements, some core ethos statements that everyone is to subscribe to. But how does this leader translate those? Usually there's some filters or lenses that they look through in terms of making their decisions, how they're going to relate to you, and how they're going to evaluate wins and losses. So you've got to understand what they value, and that's critical. Because again, if you are not putting area in the right place, you can, like a hamster on a wheel, spin all day long, but it's not going to be a win, and then you're going to just say that you've got a difficult leader. Could be something else going on, but the most common theme I've seen is that we're not valuing or understanding what the leader values. So I think that's important. The other thing is that still figure out ways that you can learn from a difficult leader. Oftentimes when the leader's difficult or you have this kind of conflict or even just personality clash, you just really put up some walls and you decide, this is not someone I want to learn from. And that's fair because you also want to invest energy and time being mentored and learning from people that are where you want to be. If you don't respect or value this leader, them as a leader, them as a person, of course, you're not going to want to learn from them. But they're a leader for a reason. If you go back to episode 1, or maybe it was 2, where we talked about imposter syndrome, really, they got the position for a reason. And that's what you have to understand too. You may not think they're qualified. You may not think they should be your leader, but someone thought they should be in leadership. Someone gave them that position. So you have to understand there's still something you can learn from them. They still have value to the organization. Therefore, by extension, they have value to you. So figure out what you can learn from this leader. Peel back the personality issues, peel back the relational conflict, and look at performance. Look at maybe they're great at decision making. Maybe they have a great networking ability. Maybe they can cut through the politics of the office, and they can make hard decisions when everyone else shies away from these hard decisions. Whatever it is, every difficult leader has a strength. Sometimes a strength overdone can look like a weakness, but it is a strength. Learn from it. Learn what you can assimilate into your own style to make you a better leader as well. But figure out how to learn from leaders. Difficult leaders, they're often difficult because they're so passionate about their job. And that's one thing that we seem to overlook. We just look at the bad stuff, the negative stuff, the things we wish we could change about them. But most of the time, they are difficult because they're so passionate. They're not getting the results they want, and so they're going to be a little difficult. Maybe help get those results, help your leader win, value what your leader values, and you might see some of that difficult facade melt away. But know that passion oftentimes is driving the difficult attributes that you have identified and are struggling with. So maybe if you can find some common ground, things that you're both passionate about, that you can both run strong toward, maybe you're going to find an ally versus an adversary. So try and maintain joy amidst dealing with a challenging leader. Find someone you can talk to. That's a recurring theme through all these episodes. Find a support system. Find a mentor, someone outside the organization maybe that you can trust to where it doesn't sound like gossip, doesn't sound like office politics where you're just bad-mouthing a leader that you don't understand or respect or appreciate. That's just going to sound like a weak, disgruntled employee. You've got to respect and have your leaders back, even if sometimes you feel like they don't deserve it. So look for the appropriate place to have that support system and surround yourself with people that are going to help you. Focus on your purpose. What are you there and what can you contribute in spite of your leader? As we've talked about with difficult leaders, sometimes you have to lead around them and even in spite of them, but still look at ways you can contribute and what's your purpose. And practice self-care. Look for ways to stay healthy because, again, you may have a difficult leader and sometimes those attributes are contagious. You might start to lead ways that you are being led. Monkey see, monkey do. If somebody just kind of barks orders at you, it may be easier and give you license to start barking orders at people that you lead. You have to stay strong and you have to look for ways to still be you, to still be a good leader, even if your leader doesn't seem to value that emphasis on who you are. And that can be a tough balance because, again, as I mentioned, it almost sounds like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth. You're valuing something they don't value and leading in a way they don't want you to lead. But at the same time, you have to be true to yourself because at the end of the day, you're the one that has to put your head on the pillow at night and be fine with a clear conscience knowing that you did the right thing and your integrity is intact. So look for ways to be authentic. Look for ways to care for people and not take on the attributes of a toxic leader. So they may be difficult. That doesn't mean you have to be. I've had difficult leaders, but here's the funny thing. I think I've learned the most from some of those difficult leaders in the shortest amount of time. It's more painful. You have more scars, but you certainly learn more faster because you see, one, things that you don't want to attribute into your leadership style. Don't assimilate bad habits. I say, chew it, spit out the fat. So find the things that are working, but find the things that aren't, separate the two. But learn what makes them tick. Why are they good? What are the things you can learn? What are the things that you're going to resolve to not be a part of in terms of your leadership that you're observing from theirs? But I've learned some great skills. I didn't like it at the time, but just like at the gym, they're stretching you faster and it's painful in the moment, but you're stronger as a result. So don't discount being led by a difficult leader as quickly. I know we try and squirm away from that pain and we try and run from it, but I say only run to something. Don't run from something. So don't run away just because it might be painful or uncomfortable. Look for something to run to. Maybe it's a goal. Maybe it's a project. Maybe it is a new opportunity, but run to it. Don't run from something. Look for ways that you can learn from the experience, share it with others, be true to who you are, learn about the difficult leader. What can you learn from a difficult leader? And make sure that you are maintaining the strength of your character as you lead out as well. You know what? I hope that this is going to be helpful for you. If you are one of those difficult leaders, I would encourage you just to pause and step out of yourself for a moment and just say, what do the people I lead think about my leadership? Would I want to be led by me? and answer those very simple questions. It may be yes, but it might be no. There are going to be blind spots. Ask someone you trust to evaluate your leadership objectively and see if there are improvements that you can make, because you don't want to be that difficult leader that everyone's talking about, all the podcasts are about, the books are written about, and you're the challenging obstacle. Figure out a way to improve, because good leaders figure out ways to grow past obstacles, past weaknesses, to be better and stronger. So self-evaluate, self-diagnose, create a plan to be better, create a plan of implementation to improve yourself. Leaders grow, leaders read, leaders evaluate, leaders study, and leaders don't lead alone. So make sure you're asking someone to check out this podcast, subscribe to it, like. If you want to learn more or have a conversation with me, shoot me an email, james@mobilized.life. I'll shoot you an email back, instant message me on social media, but make sure that you're staying connected and we can continue to grow stronger together. Thanks for being part of this podcast. Stay tuned. Lead strong. I hope you were encouraged and challenged by today's podcast. Be sure to subscribe to our Mobilized YouTube page and follow me on social media at James Chavez on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter, and James Chavez on Facebook. For more information and ways to connect, visit our website at mobilized.life.